8, awaiting the much anticipated budget speech by Mr. Enoch Godongwana. Of course, you can join that conversation by liking, subscribing, and following us on all social media platforms at Parliament of RSA, and tell us what your expectations are in terms of those strategies and those prioritizations in terms of the budget that the minister should look at.
And Sebo, we had a number of interviews earlier in the show. We spoke to the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Finance. We spoke to the chairperson of the Financial Fiscal Commission, Dr. Mbava. We spoke to the director of the PPO. And those are the people that play a key role in terms of this budgeting process. They were sharing some valuable insights with the committee. We also had, with our last interview, of course, the chairperson of the Select Committee on Finance, Ms. Sanin Dlovu.
Yeah.
You know, also having a discussion on issues relating to municipalities, because we know that those municipalities are the closest service delivery areas to the people. So it's very important that that we do proper oversight, especially as Parliament TV on committees that oversee municipalities. We know that the President has raised serious concerns regarding the state of our municipalities.
And also having spoken about youth unemployment and the high rates, I mean, it is good news that we received yesterday that in Q4 for 2024, the unemployment rate did decline to 31.9%. It's only a 0.2 decline. However, it just shows you that at least some work is being done. And of course, this is also associated to the Government of National Unity, where it is said that markets have been doing a lot better since the Government of National Unity was established. Now, is this something that we're going to see in the minister's speech? We still await that, and hopefully he will then also outline what the plans are in terms of SMME investment, in terms of infrastructure investment, in terms of medication as well, because we see that in provinces such as the KZN and the Eastern Cape, that there's a shortage of medication, and that is due to budget constraints. So the minister has a lot in terms of allocating. He has a lot in terms of ensuring that issues of health, education, unemployment, poverty, all these socioeconomic issues that we face on a daily basis are allocated money accordingly. And of course, then Parliament will play that role to ensure and monitor that money is followed.
And definitely, those allocations, we're looking forward to hearing from the minister, but also it's also very important the role that will be played by Parliament, because the monies can be allocated, but there needs to be proper oversight. You know, as we expect, the departments will start tabling their annual performance plans for the 2025-2026 rather. So we wait to see, and the committees will have an opportunity to go through those annual performance plans before they can approve the budget. So they'll have to scrutinize and see whether those programs, the targets that have been set, they can be achievable, because some of the complaints that have come through from the portfolio committees of Parliament is that these departments will come to Parliament, present targets that are unachievable. So we also expect that to see that that oversight role from Parliament, especially in relation to the reports of the Auditor General of South Africa, because AG issues reports every day on the performance of this department. It is up to this institution to ensure that it conducts proper oversight over those departments.
And of course, just yesterday we had the Minister of Electricity, Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, and I was shocked that 1.6 million homes in South Africa have no electricity. Of course, this was in the context of the Human Rights Commission inquiry into load reduction, and hopefully that is something that the Minister of Finance, Mr. Enoch Godongwana, will also speak to in terms of ensuring that the grid gets into the rural areas where people still do not have electricity.
And as you can see there on your screen, some of the members of Parliament still settling down, preparing for the minister to start delivering the speech. As you can see, the members having those discussions. Looks like it's hot in there. As you can see from that one member on your screen. I'm not sure whether it's hot because of the weather or it's hot because of today's event.
When we talk finances, things tend to get a little bit hot, Temi Nkosi, because one doesn't know what to anticipate or expect from the budget speech that Minister Enoch Godongwana is set to deliver shortly. Of course, those are shots from the Nieuwe Dome that is serving as the National Assembly while Parliament is being rebuilt and reconstructed.
And you can see the technology being at play. Cell phones, everyone seemingly on the cell phone. And only if we could get a sneak preview of what's happening in those discussions. We don't know whether they are relating to the speech that is about to be delivered this afternoon, or it's just members having their normal conversation. But like I said, the place looks like it's very hot. That's another member there. Obhizi ozama ukuziphulula for umoya, so kuyabonakala ukuthi kuninzi okulindekeleyo ukuthi kuwenzeke namhlanje kuleya sitting yenzeka eNive Miesta iDome, as I had said, that is there in one of our parking areas that is located just across the road from Parliament precinct.
And we are just a few minutes late, about almost 9 minutes late, however, as we await Minister Enoch Godongwana to announce the budget speech for 2025. Let's take a break. You're still right here on Parliament TV.
South Africa's Parliament will proudly host the 11th G20 Parliamentary Speakers Summit, known as the P20, bringing together leaders from G20 national parliaments to shape global policies and reinforce parliamentary oversight in international decision-making. As the first African country to lead the P20, South Africa's Parliament is championing Africa's active participation in global governance and economic policymaking, ensuring the continent is a driving force in shaping the future we want. Parliament will play a critical oversight role, ensuring that South Africa's commitments as G20 president translate into real economic growth, job creation, and social development. The P20 summit will embed African perspectives in global decision-making, ensuring that policies on trade, technology, and governance reflect the continent's needs and aspirations. In alignment with SONA 2025's theme, Harnessing Parliamentary Diplomacy for the Realization of Global Solidarity, Equality, and Sustainability, Parliament is committed to fostering international collaboration for a better, more just world. Your Parliament, your voice, your future. Following the President's State of the Nation address on 6 February, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Enoch Godongwana, will present the budget allocation for 2025 to Parliament on Wednesday, 19 February at 2 p.m. The budget speech, among others, aims to balance economic growth and support for the vulnerable in our society despite limited resources. During the speech, Mr. Godongwana will outline all the financial, economic, and social commitments that the government will prioritize in its planned expenditure. The minister will provide a detailed plan for 2025 spending, including proposals for revenue collection to help fund government's planned interventions and commitments. He will also introduce the appropriation bill and table the division of revenue bill, which Parliament will process in the following months. The budget process is one of the critical instruments that Parliament utilizes to conduct oversight over the executive. Watch the budget speech live across Parliament's platforms from 2 p.m. on Wednesday, 19 February. Your Parliament, your voice, your future.
You're still watching Parliament TV for the much anticipated budget speech from the Minister of Finance, Mr. Enoch Godongwana. That will take place shortly. And of course, we've spoken a great deal about the necessary improvement for the debt to GDP ratio and whether or not the minister will keep to the fiscal consolidation strategy that he proposed during the MTBPS last year. Of course, there are some concerns with regards to whether there'll be value-added tax that will be increased, whether there will be issues of income tax that might be increased to ensure that we get that revenue that we need, especially because we know that there is an issue of debt and that we are in a deficit as a country. Thembinkosi.
And of course, you can continue follow these proceedings here on Parliament TV, DSTV channel 408. We are live in all our social media platforms at Parliament of RSA, on X, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as Facebook. We are 13 minutes away from 2 o'clock. We are still waiting for the Minister of Finance to deliver his national budget speech for 2025. Of course, Minister would then be allocating monies to the programs that the President outlined on the 6th of February when he delivered his State of the Nation address for the 2025 financial year. We are expecting that after the budget, then the committees of finance, the finance committees of Parliament, your Standing Committee on Finance and Select Committees on Finance will hold public hearings on the bills that the Minister is set to table this afternoon when he delivers that budget speech. And there has been a call out by Parliament for members of the public to make submissions. When I spoke to Dr. Yanchis earlier on, he also emphasized the importance of the members of the public's contributions into this budget process. Hence, Parliament will then be calling for, is already in actual fact calling for those submissions to be made to Parliament as they will be conducting the public hearings next week. And following those public hearings, we'll then expect the departments, various departments, to table their annual performance plans to the committees of Parliament for scrutiny, so that we can see that whatever plans and the budget that they put into those plans is something that can be realized.
And just a reminder that the budget is more than just numbers. It is about shaping the future of our economy and funding key government priorities and ensuring that resources are allocated to where they are needed most. Of course, Parliament plays a key role in this and is at the center of ensuring that there is accountability and oversight over the government departments. And as the legislative arm of state, Parliament doesn't just receive the budget, it scrutinizes, debates and approves it. And so today we of course will be awaiting what the Minister of Finance is going to say. Of course, members in the chamber are getting ready, and hopefully the Minister will be able to deliver that speech for us. The much anticipated first budget speech 2025 under the Government of National Unity. And there is the mace. This is a National Assembly sitting, and after that it is the Speaker of the National Assembly, Ms. Toko Didiza, followed by the presiding officers. And this means that proceedings are about to begin in the chamber.
And the gentleman that you see there carrying that is the Sergeant at Arms, Ms. Tibelo Maleme, but will now take you to the House.
May we be seated? Honorable members, can I start the meeting before we... No, honorable member, we will allow you to speak. So can I conduct the session? There's what? What is the emergency about? Where are the mics? Order. Can we please get a roving mic?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
There are no mics here where we are.
Exactly, I'm seeing that.
And we can't start a sitting without having mics, because we are here to be the voice of the voiceless. So when the voice of the voiceless is voiceless, who's going to speak for people? There are no mics here.
Thank you, Honorable Member, for pointing that one out. One may not know what is the challenge. We will check that with the communications team. Order. Honorable members, for now, since there are no mics that are connected, which unfortunately had not been brought to our attention, we will try and utilize the roving mic where necessary. I have just had a consultation with all the whips of parties following a consultation with the leader of the government business. In terms of Rule 48, subsection 2, we have decided to adjourn proceedings for a date to be determined by the programming committee. This is in accordance with Rule 10. Honorable members, before we started the session, we were informed by the leader of government business, as it is the process in terms of the communications between ourselves and the executive, that while today we've been gathered here to actually have the Minister of Finance presenting the budget to this august House, that there has not been agreement in terms of parties in the executive to actually find one another in proposals of the budget. And the executive therefore decided, as some of you already know, and as your whips have said in our discussion, some things that have already been on the media about where there are possible increases and where different parties as well as members of the community's perspective on those proposed increases were saying. And Cabinet therefore decided not to come and do a presentation of the budget and allow themselves enough time to re-look at the budget and come back to this House in March at the time at which they will inform us. So, no, honorable members, I will point you, I have noted your hands. Well, in our consultations, which I must report to you, the different whips shared with us their perspectives on the matter. There were those who agreed and asked that we ask the executive to give us a definite time in March so that we are able to deal with the pressures of time for the legislature. Secondly, there were those who were saying they are not accepting the postponement. But obviously, we did indicate that while we note their refusal on the postponement of the sitting, it would not be of any use to postpone when there is no presentation that will be made. There were others who already declared their rejection on what they say it's an alleged increase of 2% on the taxes. So they said they wanted to state it up front that they are not agreeing. So I'm just giving you a perspective of the consultations that we've had. But there was agreement that if there is no budget that is presented, there is no discussion that will be held, as there is no other item on the agenda. Honorable members, we have had two hands of members who would like to reflect, and I will give each party to make their reflections. It's something that is unprecedented, but I do think it is correct that when such situations happen, we need to collectively think on the best way forward. And I guess it was correct that we are informed, even though late, that this is the situation. I will now recognize Honorable Malema, followed by Honorable Manye. I don't see the hand at the back. You are recognized, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Speaker. We must all know that this is unprecedented, and this is not a practice that we want to set for this Parliament. It is going to be your legacy, Speaker, that during your tenure, Parliament could not debate and adopt budget. We are saying to you, you are denying this body an opportunity to be receiving a budget, debate it, accept it, or reject it. You are now subjecting the budget of South Africa to party politics when the budget is supposed to be above party politics. Let the budget be presented here and let Parliament decide that this is the decision that we are taking as Parliament, or whether to accept or not. You cannot come here and say confidently that the parties in the executive are not agreeing. What is that? We don't have parties in the executive. We've got the executive. The executive must come here and present the budget, and this Parliament must decide whether we adopt that budget or not. You are denying the people of South Africa to see what is happening in this government. There is no government. It has collapsed. It has no capacity to present a budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have noted your view. Honorable Malema.
Thank you, Speaker. Now, for us, this day is actually quite a shocker. We are really shocked. This is in the past 30 years, to have a day like this is a serious indication of the crisis that this country is facing. This country has got no leadership. This is what we are facing. We are saying, if we say we have democracy, let democracy come and exercise itself here. This is a theater of politics. Let the Minister of Finance come and say whatever he wanted to say. We don't want to hear rumors. We hear very disturbing rumors that the VAT would have been increased by 2%. In other words, we hear rumors that this ANC-led government wanted to impoverish our people.
Okay,
we have no sympathy with that. The minister must come here and say what he wanted to say, and then we'll deal with it here.
Thank you. Honorable Mulder. Yes, I've noted you, Honorable Member. Order, Honorable Members. Let's allow other parties to express their views. Honorable Mulder.
Honorable Speaker, this is not a time for cheap politicking. This is serious. It's the first time since the new democracy in 1984 that this has happened. But we also understand that the Government of National Unity is serious about South Africa and about the future. And because of that, we must understand that things could happen in terms of where more time is needed by the Minister of Finance to have these discussions and for the executive to discuss these things.
Order. Honorable members, your leaders of party spoke and they were given time to express their views. Whether others agreed or disagreed, they listened. And I would ask us to do the same.
Thank you,
Honorable Mulder.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If we are serious and if we are responsible, we will understand the circumstances. And we know that some political parties will try to make cheap and score cheap political points. I think we need to be responsible. We need to think in terms of the economy and the message that it may send. And we, from our side, will support the decision and give ample time for the Executive and the Government of National Unity to come to the right conclusion. And it's not true that Parliament will not have an opportunity to discuss this. When the time is right, we will all, as representatives of the people, discuss the budget in full. We support the decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nkwankwa.
Speaker, thank you very much. Where was this discussion held? Why was the UDM not part of that discussion? As a result, we cannot support a decision that we know absolutely nothing about. Secondly, we should not treat a proposal from the executive in the nature of a budget as fait accompli. It is only final after Parliament has approved it. It is therefore logical, if the minister was going to table a proposal, that the proposal should have been tabled here for Parliament to consider, and if Parliament does not agree with that process, we can arrive at a different outcome altogether. Thank you.
Thank you. On the issue of your consultation, Honorable Member, I'm sure you will be clarified because all the whips were asked to have and have consultations here. Honorable Maimane.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members. Today does mark a historic day. What I do believe is absolutely important is that what we do in this House is guided by legislation. And therefore, the Money Bills and Related Matters Act does compel us as to a particular timeline as to when the budget is going to be tabled, what committees are meant to process it, and how that goes. I want to appeal to you as the Speaker. Firstly, we have raised continuously in this House through the Appropriations Committee about how truncated the time is for the processing of the budget. So any natural delay that emerges as a function of today does in fact mean that Parliament is placed under pressure in not being also being able to consult with the people, for this is where the people are represented. So may I ask that it must not be an arbitrary decision as to when this must be tabled. We must be given a firm date so that we can work the timetable consistent with law. Otherwise, the disagreement that took place today will end up in the court of law, and we as Parliament will be held accountable for that. So let me propose that we get a firm date. We also get the tabling, as the President has promised, of the medium-term plan that he announced, so that we have a framework within which to interpret the budget from. So, Speaker, let us stick to our own laws. Otherwise, we will be inconsistent with that, and the people of South Africa will hold us accountable for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Ganga. Ghana.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I was part of the consultation that you called, and in that consultation there was that understanding that given the disagreements at the cabinet level and that they are not ready to table the budget now, that the postponement be given. So I'm just standing to say that I was part of that meeting and we have agreed that the budget be postponed. Thank you very much.
Order. Honorable members, can we please respect one another? Your leaders of parties did express themselves and they were listened to. And I think it is important for all of us to be respectful of each other, even if we disagree. Honorable Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. On behalf of the ACDP, we did indicate our support when we had the discussion, but we did request that a specific timeline is given, because there can't be an agreement to extend this indefinitely, and we trust that you, Speaker, will engage with the leader of government business so that we know to what date this is postponed. We need calm heads, we need level-headedness at this time, given the fact that the executive has decided not to table a budget today, and it could have severe impact on the markets and on the currency, and therefore we need to send a message that we, and those parties that are in agreement with the postponement, that this is in order for the Government of National Unity to obtain consensus on some contentious issues, which could also be linked to the VAT increase. So from our perspective, we would plead for members, for the broader public, to understand this is a first budget by this Government of National Unity. Let us enable it to reach consensus, and let us stabilize the markets and sentiments in the nation. That is the least that is required of us as responsible leaders in Parliament. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Beasley.
Speaker, it's quite clear that Parliament is becoming a laughing stock. The GNU is becoming a laughing stock. The GNU is anti-poor, the GNU is anti-growth.
Order, can we please listen to the speaker on the podium?
And it's an absolute disgrace. Our country is battling with economic growth. When the market sees what's happening with us, it's an absolute joke. And one of the reasons why they can't make a decision is because it's such a bloated cabinet. And the poorest of the poor are paying for a bloated cabinet. There are deputy ministers here that don't even know what they do. We don't know what they do. And we are paying for it, and it is unacceptable, and they should all hang their heads in shame. It is a disgrace.
Honourable Hadebe.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker.
Order, honourable members. Order. Honourable Hadebe.
Honourable Speaker, I rise to confirm that I was part of the consultation that was urgently called, and as the IFP...
Order, honourable members. Can we allow Honourable Hadebe? Order. I'm calling everybody on order. Order, Honourable Pambo. I have said to everyone, including the member you are pointing at, that let's listen. Can we? Honourable Hadebe, can you continue?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I just wanted to confirm that we did form part of the consultation as the IFP, and we agreed and supported the proposal that was put forward before the chief whips of political parties. We view this as a sign of leadership, that when you do need more time for fine-tuning on some of the aspects, you approach Parliament for postponement. In essence, the IFP support the proposal, Honourable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Michalakis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, contrary to what some of the opposition parties have said, what is happening here today is actually showing two factors that should create immense confidence in what is happening in this country. The first is that Parliament is not a laughing stock, but that Parliament is no longer a rubber stamp to bad policies that will cripple our economy. And the second message that should go out to the markets and to the people of South Africa, Madam Speaker, is that the GNU does not consist only of one political party. Madam Speaker, therefore, the DA supports this postponement, and we hope that the executive will use this opportunity and this time to consider all the proposals on the table, especially the DA ones, so that when we hear a budget that gets put before this House, that it will be a budget of growth that will put our economy on the path of recovery, and that will create jobs for the people of South Africa that they so desperately need. Madam Speaker, if that is the result, then the DA is absolutely willing to wait for a short while to hear a pro-growth budget. And therefore, we will support this postponement, but with a clear message to the executive, and particularly to our partners in the GNU, that you are not alone in the GNU, that we have an equal say, and that we will continue to fight for every single person in this country, most particularly the poor. We support this postponement.
Thank you. Order. Order, honorable members. Al-Jama, Advocate Salim.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and to all members. As Al-Jama, we are going to support the postponement, and I'm going to tell you why. Firstly, the first concern that we brought to fore is the fact that we knew that there were problems even before today. Why wasn't a postponement done sooner than us having to sit in this house? That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you go and look at the markets, dear members, it is already impacted by this budget speech, which is not happening. And also because of our politicking. Who is going to be impacted? The nation. So Al-Jama will support the postponement. Why? Because if it is the interest of our nation that they won't be impacted, that is why we will support the budget, the postponement. However, Madam Speaker, all of the chief whips unanimously noted we need a date for this postponement because it has a rippling effect on the rest of the budgets. So we cannot come here today and just say there's going to be postponement in March. The request was, give us a definite date of postponement. I thank you.
Thank you. The ANC.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Indeed, we convened the Chief Whips Forum to consult one another as per the request of the Speaker. The Chief Whips who were in the House at that particular time, they were consulted because they were in the House. I ran all over here looking for the Chief Whips. No one was left deliberately. I passed there. On the issue of postponement, we agree with the postponement, Honourable Speaker, to allow the executive to finalize those contentious issues that they are dealing with in the interest of all South Africans. We therefore requested that we need a date for the budget speech to be tabled. I thank you, Honourable Speaker. We are not here to grandstand as the ANC. Thank you very much.
Order, honourable members. I have allowed all parties that have raised their hands. Honourable Zumula. Honourable Nkwankwa, you have already been given an opportunity. The issues of the Chief Whips, I will ask that the Chief Whips can talk to each other outside. But for now, let me allow Honourable Zumula.
Thank you, Speaker. We need to ask you, Speaker, who decides? Because if you are going to allow the Chief Whips to decide for the entire Parliament, it is problematic. Secondly, you cannot allow a case of the incompetence of the executive, even at the incompetence of Parliament. The executive did not know yesterday that there's going to be a budget today and there's no agreement in the so-called GNU. Therefore, the executive, the Minister of Finance, must come here, present what he has, and let us, as the people, as the representatives of the people, decide for the people. This notion, Speaker, of saying we want to assure the markets and all of these things, it is problematic. This House does not belong to the markets. It belongs to the people. We are the representatives of the people. Massive Minister of Finance presenting what he has. And then the parties here can be seen whether they are in support or they are not in support. Do not deny the parties an opportunity of standing and clearly showing where they stand. And also an indefinite postponement is not going to be acceptable. Because if let us wait for an indefinite postponement, what does that mean? And what happens if after that indefinite postponement, they come back again and then let's postpone again. We're going to have more and more postponements. Makaze apa, sizele lonto apa.
UAT.
Yale Speaker. Gona re le UAT re motho ha tla tlo present mona. E qaqile go ntwena ya tshwatleya jwale. Ntwela ya phitlheganya jwale. Se ba tsholo ba ga bana le lona ba nna le safe. Ha tle mona tlo bua setšhaba se mo emetse. Re ke be ra kgona ho sebedisa di resources tsa government for mahala ga tlela mona re na le baeti mona. Ha tle motho na go utlo re kgolo mo phiatlakanya le yena ha etsa tsa hae. Danke.
Thank you. PA.
Speaker.
Order, honorable members.
They are my friends.
Order.
Don't worry.
Honorable member, you can proceed.
Speaker, what I have seen the
Honorable
past
members. Honorable members. Honorable members of the EFF at the back. Order. Honorable Pambo, can you please speak to the members at the back of the EFF? Honorable Mackenzie, can you proceed?
All right. Speaker, what I have seen the past 2 weeks, I want to tell the people of South Africa that I have seen humbleness, humility, and people that listen to each other. I want to congratulate the Minister of Finance. You came to present a budget which the DA, the PA, and the different parties didn't fully agree with. But the ANC were humble enough and say, let us hear you. What is it you don't like here? For 2 weeks we've been busy. We are seized with the last issue. A wise man changes his mind. We are united. This is not a one-party state. We are together, united, all of us that you see here. These ones, they will not know. They are a government in waiting. We are the government. The government is taking charge. Amen.
Order, honorable members. Order. Honorable members, good.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. First of all, the good parties support the postponement. But the truth is, all parties and the GNU agree to the postponement, not certain parties. Let us not play politics, because the people out there are waiting on us to lead this government of national unity. All the parties agreed, not only the DA or the PA, it is the IFP, good PAC. We all agreed. Please don't play politics with our people. Thank you.
Thank you, the PAC.
I confirm that we support the postponement, Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. I have listened to all the parties. Honorable Nchingila, is there a new issue? Honorable member, if it's again repeating on the issue of the postponement I've heard, I will make the ruling now.
I just want to establish, Madam Speaker, that will Parliament reimburse the guests that we've invited to attend the budget?
Well, thank you very much, honorable members. Honorable members, Honorable Dlamini, is there a new issue other than what you have already expressed yourself on?
Thank you very much, Speaker.
we want to call for a division so that we are clear. The members of parliament here, they must by themselves express their decision on this question of postponement of tabling of the budget. So we want to call for division, we want to vote here, because some of the ANC, they agree with us that this thing of 2% is nonsense. And they're saying, let's vote. So please, Speaker, we're calling for division, because the 2% is nonsense.
Honorable Zungula, is there another new issue?
It's another issue, Speaker.
Okay, what is the issue?
It is concerning how you are running the House. When there is jeers and noise from this side, you don't call them to order. But from this side, you are very quick to call us to order. So the order is on you, Speaker. Be fair on each and every member of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I accept that I must listen to all members of the House. And having listened to all of you, and the questions that have been asked about who decides, we were consulted by the executive through the leader of government business. And having applied my mind as the speaker, it was clear that there was no budget that would be tabled. It was for that reason that I consulted all the parties, and I understand Honorable Nkwankwa unfortunately did not make that meeting, though two of the parties did express their concerns, but unanimously all parties agreed that we postpone. Honorable Malima, I said two parties, which is the EFF is one, MK is another. Yeah. No, ATM was not in that meeting. So can you please not raise those issues which were not part of the meeting? Honorable members, clearly I've listened to the views of all parties, and I think it is in the interest of all of us and the people of South Africa that we postpone and allow time to the Treasury to finalize whatever they need to finalize. You wanted certainty. Executive has given us the date of 12 March to come and present. As this Parliament, we are not going to compromise our timelines as to how we need to deal with that budget. So no time will be shortened for us to deal with these issues in terms of our timelines. So I want to thank honorable members and adjourn the House. Thank you.
Welcome back. You're still watching Parliament TV on DSTV channel 408. And it seems as if that would be it in terms of the budget speech. Unfortunately, there is no budget speech that will be delivered today. There has been some disagreements within the cabinet from what we could pick up from the speaker. However, the budget speech is now postponed to allow the National Treasury to finalize all the issues of concern before that budget speech is presented here at Parliament on the 12th of March 2025.
That is correct. As Thembi Nkosi has mentioned, that the Speaker of the National Assembly, Ms. Thoko Didiza, allowed members and provided the opportunity for them to air their views in terms of the postponement of the budget speech. Of course, we had been anticipating that the budget speech would take place today. However, because of the circumstances and unprecedented circumstances at that, the budget speech has to be postponed so that parties and members of the executive can just iron out some of those issues that need to be ironed out. And of course, this means that the date is the 12th